and we slammed it to the ground and put a bag of potting soil on top of it. And then the next day we went to show somebody. We were like, you won't believe the size of this bug. We took the potting soil off and it was still alive.
All right, welcome to episode 14 of Behind the Turf. Today we are talking about roaches. The title is, Can Roaches Be Pets? We hope that kind of triggered you to watch this. We're really excited to have Zach Horn here. He's our manager of the Pest department. And then we've also got Ruth Wilkerson here, who's our support team lead. And today we're going to do things a little bit different in this podcast, and the fact that Ruth and I both have a ton of questions about roaches for Zach. So we thought we'd have to trick you to come back on the podcast and tell you there were roaches here, but you just came back on your own will.
Right.
The people wanted to see you again. Zach, I'm glad you came back.
Absolutely.
We really appreciate your knowledge. I mean, you've been doing this for over a decade. And I think that you always have like more real world insights than what you can find necessarily on the internet. So we appreciate you sharing that with our viewers.
Absolutely.
All right, Ruth, let's kick it off.
All right. I mean, this is I'm super excited about this topic. When I first moved to Georgia and saw a roach crawl out of a drain, I thought like the world was ending. And then I found out that these ones could fly. Like my biggest memory of a roach is Jesse and I were sitting on the porch of our first apartment, just innocently thinking you could sit outside in Georgia at night.
Yeah.
And this huge thing flew at me. And we slammed it to the ground and put a bag of potting soil on top of it. And then the next day we went to show somebody. We were like, you won't believe the size of this bug. We took the potting soil off and it was still alive. So that's my first interaction.
So to answer the question, for the
roach.
people that won't listen to the whole podcast, would you recommend roaches be pets?
Well, I mean, if you feed it, water it, why not?
If you don't want to get robbed blind, I mean, 3 of them could haul you out of there. Anyway, what are the common signs of a roach infestation?
A lot of it goes to anytime we do an inspection, we look for droppings. And typically, they're always going to be around a water source, a bathroom, a kitchen. A common one's a dishwasher.
What do they look like?
So
I didn't
the
realize
droppings
that.
can almost look like pepper flakes.
Oh.
And a lot of times you'll see them scattered, but if you have a water source that's a problem that you're not aware of, there'll actually be piles of it. And so
Wow.
it's a good sign that there's a problem.
Okay.
But I've learned since being around you that there are different types of roaches. But like around Atlanta, like what are the most common ones that you're experiencing on a regular basis?
So there's 3 main ones that we deal with daily. It's
Okay.
your American, which is about 2 inches long. It's very common.
That's the one you want to have?
I would,
you're gonna
out
have
of all
30.
of them, that's probably the best one.
Okay, all right. That's what I thought.
They're all bad, but that one's probably the easiest to get rid of. The second would be the smoky brown roach.
Okay.
They typically live outdoors, but obviously if you have the right conditions inside, they'll fly in. They typically love trees, shrubberies. They can glide to the attic and just enter that way.
So that's probably what you had on the back porch?
So
because it flies?
we call them palmetto bugs. Which one of those is that?
Well, it's really, everyone assumes it's a water or palmetto bug just based on the size, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's hard to say. Like the smoky brown, they're darker, they're shinier, about a 1.5 inch, where the American roach, they're actually a light brown and they have like a yellow color around the back of the head.
Oh, okay.
And so it's kind of,
They're probably
everyone calls them water bugs.
Okay.
Okay, but the third is?
The German roach.
Oh, and that's the
Those
one.
are
We
the
don't want the
ones.
Germans.
Those are the ones I can walk into a house and I can smell it. Those are the ones that reproduce so quick. Their life cycle of reproduction is insane. So they can lay 40 eggs, and in each egg case can be 40 babies in their lifespan. So that can become a large population quickly.
Well, how the roaches get into the house?
It's a number of different ways. It's hard to properly seal a home. They just need a tiny crack around a doorway, a windowsill, especially the threshold around a doorway. They're always wearing out from opening and closing. So to properly seal it 100%, it would be hard to do. It's making sure the vegetation's cut back. It's making sure you have no moisture source. Especially right now, a common thing that I'm seeing is all the sprinklers running this time of year. Mm-hmm. And if they're hitting that house on the side and just puddling water, that creates a water source. A lot of pests are drawn to those areas. So just looking for anything that could be conducive to bringing them there.
Yeah, I think that's one of the first things you pointed out to me when you came to my house was like
The condensation line.
Yeah, yeah. And then also right where that condensation line is, my shrubs were like they were pruned, but not against the house. Like they were all up onto the house.
Absolutely.
Even though, those lower petalum were just like sheared all perfect. The ones that were on the house, like were touching the house.
It's basically a bridge because if we treat the foundation, we're just walking right over that product.
Yeah, not anymore though, right?
That's right.
I whacked those things back this winter.
You did a great job.
Well, that kind of answers, what preventative measures can people take? Obviously, just trimming back shrubs, making sure you don't have water sources. But like you said, I mean, it's impossible to, when we redid our bathroom and I realized that the plumbing is kind of like exposed in the dirt and it's like very easy for them to come up through plumbing. I mean, you see them coming up through drains and things like that. So it seems like that's a possibility.
But I was surprised. I never really thought so much about it until I started getting into this with you. It's just the packages that come to your house. Like a lot of times there can be things in those boxes.
Without a doubt. Roaches love the glue that holds those boxes together. And so you got to think these big warehouses, all the boxes, all the shipping that goes on, it's easy for anything to get in that box and be shipped to your house.
Yeah, I know. It's like opening the box outside, which we still don't do that.
No one does it, but we should.
We should.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, that's just an easy way to keep them. Well, maybe it's not so easy. It seems easy, but it's just like when you have all these packages on your front door and you just push them into the house, and then they sit there for a couple of days before you even open them. I mean, no telling what's coming out.
That's right.
So what the other thing I was going to ask you was just like, obviously we don't want to have roaches, but the health risk associated with them, like there is some, especially when we're talking about where we're eating kind of thing, like, and I feel like that's something we should really talk about.
I would really say that falls into the German roach category.
Okay.
Obviously, they reproduce so quick, a lot of droppings remain. And if you have asthma, it can really cause some health concerns in a number of different ways, right? So that would be the one big thing I would say German roaches are known for.
Ugh.
Are there any specific products or traps that you'd recommend that people can do in addition to what we're providing?
It's hard. We never want to mix products, right? We don't know exactly what they put out, or we wouldn't recommend something, and then we come and do something different. Really, a thorough inspection, identify what pest it is, and then we can come up with a game plan, whether it's baiting the attic for the roaches that are coming in, or placing monitoring boards to identify the entry points of the home. So really leaving it to a professional is the best way to go.
But it's really about prevention too, which is what the programs that you've helped us design has all set up to do, is to prevent this from ever being a problem.
That's right.
Talk to us a little bit about how, when we say prevention, when it comes to pest control, we're not talking about going in your house and soaking the baseboards anymore. Like, how does that process work now?
Yeah, so obviously we have our process where we treat the exterior, and let's eliminate the pesticide about it, okay? So it's integrated pest management. So during our inspections and treatments, it's not just about spraying, because you can spray all day if you have conducive conditions. It's not going to work, right? So we try to identify those problems and use our products with the solutions of eliminating the conducive conditions to really solve it.
And the conducive conditions are what we talked about, which is like plants against the house, wet, moisture issues, stuff like
the
that.
gutter's full. It could be your garbage cans. You keep them inside your garage due to an HOA. That is a feast for the roaches.
Yeah. So on that prevention program that we're doing with Nature's Turf, like you're doing a liquid and a granular?
We're doing a liquid product right now, a granular as well. And so we'll rotate products in the fall. Obviously, roaches are going to become more popular in the fall for us. And so we'll use a granular bait that they'll actually feed on. And so we'll just keep rotating products throughout the year.
Yeah. But like we talked about, like even with the best prevention in place, you can still have a roach come in through a box, or left, maybe a door's left open or something.
Exactly. Even after our treatment, the insect roaches, they have to touch the product for it to be eliminated.
Right.
So it is not immediate, and it's not always a barrier to where they are not allowed to cross through it. So it does take time. So it is common to see a roach, but you should see it slowly walking and dying off.
Yeah. And that's why, the guarantee is not that you'll never see any. It's that we will come out and retreat if we need to. And that's how we guarantee the service.
That's right.
Just, doing service calls for clients if they need them.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So wrapping this up on roaches, it sounds like we need to always hope that we have the biggest roach possible, which who would have thought? So the bigger, the better, right?
So exciting.
That's right.
So if we were going to have a pet, we'd want it to be an American roach.
That's right.
Right.
Great.
Yeah.
I'll,
Something we learned. Who would have thought? The bigger, I'm sure
Super
most people would
exciting.
think like the bigger the roach, the worse the problem might be.
The biggest thing is when I go to a homeowner, they're like, well, it was small, so it has to be a German roach. Well, I'm like, well, they have to be small before they can grow to be a large one, right?
Oh,
So you
yeah.
always have to really explain and break it down that it's not German roaches.
Yeah. Nice. Anything we didn't ask you? I feel like we kind of peppered you with a lot of questions, but anything on the top of your head?
As far as roaches, no, I feel like we covered a good bit.
Yeah.
Obviously, I think right now we've actually seen an increase because it's been so dry.
Right.
Right?
They're
It's
coming
very
inside.
common. They are coming inside, food, shelter, water. You're always going to see them around the same places. And so right now, hopefully we're getting a little more rain. It's going to slow down that process. But in the fall, be prepared to keep the leaves and debris away from your home, clean the gutters. Just do your part, and it makes it so much easier.
Yeah, I love it. All right. You got anything else?
Nope.
All right. That wraps up this episode. As usual, we really appreciate the feedback that we've gotten on the podcast. It really inspires us to continue to make content for you guys to hopefully keep your homes pest free and your lawns weed free. If you have enjoyed this, we hope that you'll like and share and follow us, whether it's Apple, Spotify, or YouTube. We appreciate it.